Hello, everyone. Welcome back to day 3 of GPT Dreamin'. So glad you're all back here. We've had a wonderful week so far, and I'm thrilled to announce our next speaker. Savri Lisinski is the VP of Product at Elements.cloud. He is a seasoned product manager leading teams to success, which now includes success through the use and deployment of AI-infused products. Savri is an active part of the Salesforce community, where you can often find him providing education at various events. He recently launched a weekly newsletter for business analysts and product managers, so be sure to check it out. Welcome to the stage, Savri.
Today's session, I actually want to share with you a little secret, and that is that AI-ifying your business, which is a way of saying driving AI transformation in your organization, is actually very easy, and I think much easier than a lot of people really assume. But how to do it and why it is easy, we'll get to that in just a moment. So first, I want to talk about AI adoption. If you look at some of the official figures, as of pretty much January this year, 92% of Fortune 500 companies use ChatGPT. There's about 100 million users worldwide with ChatGPT account, and 100 million of those use it week after week, weekly active users, if anyone's interested. There's an IBM study out there that shows 42% of enterprises have deployed some sort of AI solution. Additional 40% are testing it, testing the waters, not yet kind of used with the teams. And there's about 20% that have not yet adopted or even not have started trying out adopting AI in any way. But adoption of AI is not really a binary state. It's kind of like going to the gym. It is not binary. You can, I'm going to the gym to hang around, talk to some friends, drink a smoothie, not work up that much sweat and go home. Or you can go to the gym and, really leave sweat and tears on the training floor. It's pretty much the same story with AI. It's about depth, commitment, and results. Because when we talk about AI and using AI, it's not really one thing. I always cringe a bit when I read about organizations that use AI and not use AI. It's a very binary way of looking at it. The reality is when we talk about AI as a technology, sure, but actually there are so many different solutions within that black box. You have your AI chatbots, right? Your ChatGPT, your Bard. You can have custom chatbots, and there are a lot of applications already. Salesforce technically being one of them, where you can technically create your own custom chatbot, either for personal use, like or specified use, like let's say custom GPTs, or for customer use, kind of a customer service agent, which is AI powered. You can have integrated co-pilots, right? So this is when we talk about web applications, like for instance, Elements Cloud, that then utilize AI to accelerate, improve, and power existing workflows. You can build AI automation by just calling, through APIs, OpenAI or other providers. And at the very end of the spectrum, as far as complexity goes, you can actually self-host your own models and train them on your own servers, right? And there's probably a couple of other things I might have missed. So using AI is actually a fairly big umbrella term that includes all of those different use cases and tools. So, you can have an organization that uses AI in a sense that, a marketing team uses ChatGPT to help them write a blog copy or a marketing email copy a bit faster. And then you have another organization that might be using different AI solutions or AI-infused solutions in every area of their business, in every business department, in every business function. They're both technically using AI, but clearly the depth, the commitment, and also the results will be extremely different. So how is AI getting adopted, and isn't? Last year, there was actually a lot of articles, a lot of blog posts, and generally a lot of, let's call it, thought leadership around how adoption of AI will play out. And pretty much it was all about this idea that it will be a bottom-up approach. Now, bottom-up means it's not necessarily the management or the leaders that kind of come in and say, okay, now we're going to start using AI. Just let's say, like, management comes and say, now we're going to use Salesforce or other system. The idea was that it will be a bottom-up approach. So employees will individually figure out how to use AI, when to use AI, and it will kind of organically spread within teams and within an organization. And whilst I'm sure there are cases and examples where that indeed did happen, over the last year, talking to a lot of people, a lot of organizations, I found that that's not actually the case. Outside of the relatively little circle of AI enthusiasts or IT world in general, I find that a lot of people in a lot of organizations seem to be blissfully unaware of this extraordinary technical revolution that is going on. And even those who are aware of this revolution and who might even use ChatGPT even on a daily basis are not necessarily getting the best results. Even though I think I'm not the only one who over the last year has seen 1,000 prompt engineering courses on YouTube, on Twitter, on my LinkedIn feed. I think to a lot of us who've been in this, let's say, ecosystem in this area for, well, months now, just over a year, or maybe longer if you were really into it before, this comes naturally now. But there are just so many people to whom even using ChatGPT is still a bit of a cumbersome experience. Therefore, I personally believe that the true adoption of AI going forward will actually have to be driven from the top. And in that context, I think it's probably the single most exciting time to be a business analyst or a system architect, because you can take a very proactive approach and lead the charge on AI transformation in your business. And it can actually be done relatively easily, I found, by either going through architecture-led approach or a process-led approach. Now, I will show, based on our own example and based on my own real diagrams, real use cases, how we in my department have identified lots of different opportunities to use different AI solutions and accelerate our workflows, how to improve our productivity in my department. And we have used actually a combination of both architecture-led and process-led approach. But before I kind of show you the how, let me quickly explain these concepts. So architecture-led approach, I would say, is very good for quick wins, for identifying quick wins for adopting AI, and it's relatively low effort. The whole concept or idea behind architecture-led approach to identifying AI opportunities is that you focus on analyzing how information is processed, manually processed a lot of times, and logged between different systems and your technology stack. And then you're trying to identify which of those information transfers can actually be automated with the help of AI. Now, a process-led approach is somewhat similar. However, I would say it's much more comprehensive, much more detailed. It allows to identify all opportunities to use AI, but it is arguably a bit more higher effort. And actually, it is relatively easy. All you have to do is go through your documented processes and find all activities that pretty much generative AI can effectively automate. So, any activity, any task, any process that involves the words generate, summarize, translate, write, recommend, predict, classify, analyze, automate, and lots of others. Like, it's almost as soon as you find one, that's probably an opportunity to leverage AI in some fashion. Now, I say it's relatively easy. Obviously, the hard part is having your processes documented in a very detailed way. So that's where the effort comes in. Identifying AI opportunities is then actually relatively easy. So let me now show you on our own internal documentation, our own internal processes and architecture diagrams we've used, how we at Elements in my specific department have identified opportunities to use different AI solutions. And let me start with this architecture diagram. Let me walk you through what we've documented here. It is an architecture diagram of sorts, but it is not an entity relationship diagram. It's not a system landscape diagram. It's more of a interaction diagram. And one time we sat down with the team and we've tried to understand, like, we use all these different tools and what do we use them for and how the information kind of moves from one system to another. So for instance, we use Zoom, sometimes Google Meet, to have calls with our customers to do some research. And we also use a tool called Gong in our company to automate transcripts. After we have a call with a customer, we review those transcripts. And based on what we find or what maybe the sales team have documented for us, we document, feedback or feature request in Salesforce in a custom object. And based on that, we then use our own tool to raise some change records, draw some diagrams for further analysis. And I could go on and on and on. The main idea here, however, is that, yes, between some of these systems, there are, let's call it classic integrations, right? But a lot of times there isn't. So for instance, yes, I have a great transcript I can review and search through, but I have to still go through and search through the transcript. I still have to read it, analyze it, potentially many of those before I can manually log a conclusion, which would be a particular feature request or feedback record somewhere else. Similarly, I can run through the analysis of raising a change record, drawing diagrams, raising stories, then sending them to Jira, all of that kind of natively within our platform. But the problem is, I can have all these different tickets, but in our process, at the very least, we still rely on documenting like a fuller technical spec of the entire functionality to explain how different tickets kind of relate to all of that. And we also document an internal document for sales, marketing, and customer success, explaining what is it that we're working on and why are we working on it and why you should get excited. And at some point, we also have to write support documentation about for the customers, explaining how to use it, how it works, create training content, etc., etc. So the point being, when we looked at that, we realized, wow, there is actually the same type of information that is processed by us manually and logged from one system and then put into another system, right? It's if you think about it, the technical specification, support document for customer, document for internal usage for marketing and sales. The audience is different. The level of detail must be different. It's not the same content, but the way it's written is not the same. But the content, actually, the spirit of what is written is actually the same. So we keep just moving the same information from place to place. So what we've done is actually going through these interactions. We've started categorizing which of those interactions are already supported, through standard automation or are part of the tool that we already use. But and then which ones we use within our own product in Elements using Elements GPT. But then, for instance, once we document tickets in Jira, now a lot of manual work is happening, documenting these specs and these pages manually. So we went, I'm sure we could build a very simple integration that that would, for instance, take the documentation we've already written in one place and taking that information in, we'll rewrite it so that it's actually written for a customer to be a useful customer support document. And equally, if we have all these tickets and that specify the acceptance criteria, and we have the diagram, surely all of that could be fed into an actually OpenAI through API to kind of create as the first cut of the full technical specification, and so on and so on. So this is how we've approached, and we have all these projects currently in development, some of them in testing, where again, we've used this architecture diagram, identified which manual transfers of data are kind of cumbersome and time consuming, and where we could use AI to, well, automate it actually, or at least, do the 90% so we can just sanity check 10% of the time and get this over with. So that's what I would call the architecture-led approach. Now, a process-led approach is in some ways similar, but much more detailed. So as I said, with the architecture diagram, what we were focused on is documenting all the systems that we use and understanding how what data we take from one system and put into another system, and is it automated, is it manual, and if it's manual, thinking, is that something AI could help us with? In a process-led approach, and what I would recommend for that is using a notation like universal process notation, simply because it's best suited for business analysis in general, and this is the hard part. We at Elements and my team especially are quite lucky. We have all of our processes meticulously documented. We change them if they need changing. If we realize that some process, some way of working is suboptimal, we then try to make sure we update it and everyone then follows the same best practice. But because it's so detailed, because it's so meticulously documented, it's actually very easy for us to find and identify even the smallest little tasks which could use a touch of AI. Now, again, this is let's say maybe very Elements specific, but I could generate a report of all activities of pretty much all details across all of our different diagrams. And I could, for instance, search for, show me all the activities where we write something or where we design something. Okay, it's as simple as going through 10, 20 verbs, again, like write, like recommend, like summarize, like translate, like predict, like classify, etc., and going, okay, if we do that, then AI is a type, generative AI specifically is a type of technology that could help us automate a lot of these processes. So we have a design process which is fairly big and complex, explains how we approach design of our platform. And that's actually how we've identified on top of, because I don't want to go through like 20 diagrams we reviewed for that purpose, but on top of identifying the same opportunities we've identified with architectural approach, we've also identified lots of smaller ones. For instance, we do have a research project in Salesforce where we document, how what is the assumption we want to test, and what do we want to learn, and then part of the process is for us to prepare plan the research, right? And we have some support documentation explaining how to do it, plan the research, design the research, list of questions we should probably be asking if it's part of the survey. Well, guess what? Rather than spending time manually researching, thinking through this, we could use AI to at the very least help us accelerate it. Similarly, a lot of what we do is around metadata and metadata analysis. And let me tell you, there are hundreds of metadata components. And because we now sync or support pretty much most of the ones that people know, from time to time we get asked, or we come with a crazy idea to support one none of us really had anything about. And then we need to learn how it works and learn how to understand the JSON or the XML file. And historically, that was a very time-consuming exercise. But we've realized with, especially ChatGPT and its immense knowledge and understanding, hey, how about we ask it? How about we give it so JSON structure, XML structure, and ask the AI to explain it to us and where to find information we're looking for, etc., etc. We have identified in total about 20 to 30 opportunities to use different AI solutions, whether that's integrated through within platforms that we use or through API integrations, just from looking at our processes. So if I were to sum up what we have done in my team, through architecture-led approach, we were able to identify specifically 3 big needs for us: writing technical specification documents for developers, writing support library articles for customers, and writing training course content or outline of a training course for our academy. Because in reality, when we give something to developers, we already have a diagram document. We know exactly what needs to happen. We have our stories, acceptance criteria. And now we need to transfer all of that knowledge, which we've already produced, into this type of content and that type of content and this type of content. And it takes time. So these were 3 big pain points for us, or at least 3 big time costs in our monthly cycle. When we use the process-led approach, we have identified pretty much the same 3 requirements, but also so many more, like helping us plan, research our design, like drafting an internal communication document, like researching, technical specifications of JSON files of new metadata, etc., etc. So the point I suppose I want to leave you with is AI is so much more than just ChatGPT or any particular application. We are entering a future where a lot of applications, a lot of tools will have some sort of AI offering or AI co-pilots in them. And if they don't, or they don't have any plans to, I would question whether these are the sort of tools we should be seriously using in our tech stack. But there are so many opportunities for us to use these existing tools and for us to use integrations and build something for ourselves. And if you really start looking as architects, as business analysts, you look at the transfer of information, activities and processes being performed, you will find not 1, not 2, but the dozens of processes and tasks which could be seriously automated and accelerated through various AI functions. And when you do, and when you start proactively leading the charge on AI transformation, I think you will pretty much be the superheroes of your organization. Ben, welcome, Ben. How do you see the future evolving in terms of using AI to accelerate process documentation? Well, for instance, and this is something I've already kind of seen in action, there is a great tool I've started using recently called, Swift BA, and it's a transcribing tool for business analysts, something to help people, business analysts in particular, turn transcripts of interviews with stakeholders into very list of questions and answers that you were looking for. I can very much see how that sort of content can very easily be fed into another AI model or AI endpoint, um, and turned in automatically into a diagram. We know ChatGPT has a lot of plugins that can automatically generate some simple diagrams. We at Elements have our own automatic process diagram generator, and we have found that a lot of textual content that you feed it gets translated into very good, very high quality business process diagrams. So even that actually will be seriously sped up in the coming months and in the future. Question from Jorgen. Can you share your references as to where these AI adoption statistics are pulled from? Sure. I didn't want to overpopulate my slide deck, but the data on how many and Fortune 500 companies or how many millions of users use ChatGPT, that comes from OpenAI. You can Google their stats. They reveal them on a regular basis. Now, as far as the IBM study, I would have to find the exact title, but I'm pretty sure if you Google IBM AI adoption report, you should be able to find the same one I found just recently.
Savri, thanks so much for a wonderful framework from which we can view AI adoption within the business ecosystem through the lens of a BA. I think this is really fundamental and profound. I think you alluded to this and even said this, that BAs are and architects are some of the most impacted roles right now when it comes to opportunity for using AI and leveraging AI within the organization. Where are we, from your opinion, on the adoption curve based on your networking and who you've talked to? Where are we right now on implementation of AI with inside business processes? Are we still really early on? Are we making our way down the road?
We're very, very early on. And even earlier this week, I was listening to an interview in the Financial Times has a very nice podcast on kind of the world events. And they said that, well, that stat about 92% of Fortune 500 companies using ChatGPT, looks very impressive. And, when you read it, you can get an impression that, wow, 92% of the biggest 500 companies are so into AI right now. Reality is that's not really true. It usually means, and because some of these stats also come from OpenAI, there might be a person with an email domain from one of those companies who've registered an account in ChatGPT, and that technically counts as, the IBM is really using ChatGPT now. They probably are, and that they most likely are. But there is we are yet to see any proper use case or even story of an organization that actually has deployed AI, kind of very widely across their business and their processes and the organization. So far, the only use case that is talked about as quite common is around customer support, and usually customer support bots to speed up and accelerate the time to kind of answer customer query, maybe close a chat or a query or a conversation. I think I saw some stats from Salesforce, because they support that use case as well, that their customers saw double-digit acceleration in the time to close certain tickets. So we're seeing some data on that already from across the ecosystem, not just Salesforce. But anything else, so far, it's mostly anecdotal, and it seems like it's still very, very, very early days.
And I think that's a testament. Yeah, the opportunity is still there, and that's a testament to what you talked about. Everyone who's on this call today and listening in, having the opportunity to become the superhero within your organization. If you act now and you lean in to learning the skills and you take a look at your internal processes based on the framework that you provided today, you all of a sudden become a significantly important resource to your organization, and you can lead the AI charge for your organization. Is it going to be easy? I can tell you firsthand, it is not easy. With the new tech, as trailblazers, we're familiar with having to step where no one has stepped before, and that's what AI is all about right now. Um, yeah,
Now,
what?
I,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
did I did I didn't cover potential, but that's a subject for a whole other conversation. That just because you've identified that we could use AI somewhere, that doesn't necessarily mean you should. So, for instance, depending on what data are we talking about, what processes, how sensitive is the data being processed, you might not be as free to just I'm just gonna integrate with OpenAI API and make things happen. Um, with arguably with some of the features we're developing, since once we publish it in a week time or month's time, this is going to be publicly available through our and talked about through our website and support documentation. It's not like there's so much sensitive IP at stake, so we can, for instance, afford to be a bit of very very quick and use, for instance, OpenAI, um, even though we use our enterprise account and technically it's not being used to train the models. But I can see instances where, especially in large organizations, well, yes, we could speed this process with AI, but the data is so sensitive that hosting the model on our own servers and doing our own work is probably the only sensible way to go, and that's clearly not a week, a month type project. It's probably many many months, if not more, to get this off the ground, right? So there's that risk level to it, which I haven't touched on, but something we should be aware of.
Are we at the point now where organizations, almost every organization, needs an in-house LLM expert?
I mean, yes. Uh, although there's a caveat to that. Uh, I, this is, I, I don't think we have enough LLM experts to go around. Not every organization can have one. Um, and there are probably a lot of organizations who would want to have more than one. So I think just like with Salesforce and Trailblazers and Trailhead and all of that, we just like Salesforce pretty much 20 years ago realized that, damn it, uh, there's not enough people to operate these systems. We need to train them. I think we're and then the great work you're doing with your program, we need to be in a position where we train people. And it's not to say people need to be experts in uh, like large language models in a sense of like we need to learn how to do machine learning. But I think every organization should designate some person um, to be it. You will now sit and learn and go through every course, and you will pay for every, well, not every course because there are too many of those, but at least your courses, Mark. We will make sure you go through all these courses and you understand what this technology is capable of and how to leverage it, and you just understand enough to help us understand what is the art of the possible. Yes, I think that is something that is mandatory because we are seeing, I mean, I know there are stats out there for like the Copilot, the GitHub Copilot, right? That developers who use it apparently are around 50% more or less more productive or complete tasks faster. We had the Harvard study from last summer with McKinsey consultants, right? That the mediocre consultants with ChatGPT were performing at the level of the all-star consultants. Based on my own observation in our own department, and if you use AI across all these different processes and tasks, my God, I think the productivity enhancement is actually way, way larger than that. So I feel bad for organizations and teams who are not yet on that path because I have a feeling they will be left behind very quickly by their competitors.
Yeah, I can't agree more. So, if you're on this call today and your organization hasn't sort of appointed someone to be that person, you have the opportunity right now to offer that up. Organizations right now need an AI strategic plan, some sort of plan for how they're going to get their arms around how to find all those use cases internally. And that's you. That can be you. We're at that point where it's still so early on. And speaking of it being still so early on, I'd like to ask this: based on what you see and what you know, where do you expect we'll be in the next 5 to 10 years? What does the future hold for us?
I mean, you probably saw OpenAI's announcement last week when they showed Sora, the video generating model. A year ago when you were looking up what does video generation with AI look like, it looked very freaky. It looked like, like the famous beer commercial, or Will Smith eating spaghetti. If anyone hasn't seen this, Google it. It's really freaky. It looks really, it looks like stuff from nightmares. And then you fast forward to less than a year actually, and you look at what's being generated as a video, and it's just scary how high quality, believable stuff this is. So this is the scary stuff that you can, just like you and I probably, be in this AI ecosystem for me it's been a year and 2 months, probably for you much longer. But almost spend every day learning about it and reading about it and living it to a certain extent, and you might feel like, oh, I've got this, right? I know what I'm dealing with, and then a new model is dropped, a new functionality is dropped, and it's you still feel like a kid in a candy store. It's like, wow, this is beyond. I never thought it was even possible. So you're asking me what the next 5 years is going to be. I cannot predict what 2026 is going to look like. So yeah, I just want to be there when it happens.
Oh, totally agree. I'm here for it. I'm absolutely stunned. Been following AI and sort of the seeds of what has grown into what we have today for, I guess, since 2014, 2015, 2016 timeframe. It is, I am in awe with the explosion of capability, even from the Chat GPT moment and beyond. What with the leaning in of engineers into the space of open source models and the niching down of the capabilities of those models in competition with the large companies like OpenAI and Google and soon to be Amazon. Uh, it feels like the Wild West with AI right now. And we're seeing capabilities pop up all over the place. Various products with artificial intelligence infused in them pop up all over the place, all serving different problem sets, different niches, and I'm like you. I'm here for it. It's getting hard for even me to look forward and sort of predict what the future would even look like. But there's some trends and themes that are popping up that are quite interesting, and just really happy to be a part of the journey.
And the thing I'll add to that as a maybe parting thought from myself is, to your point, number of applications, tools popping up all over the place that use these existing models or tools, usually by some API integration to infuse or improve some offering is well, there are so many of them. And you know how there's this old saying that if you think about it, there's probably a mobile app for it. Like there's so many mobile apps pretty much for anything, for like dog walking, for like you name it, you'll likely find something on an app store. I have a feeling that as much as we are still very early in the AI, actually from, let's say, commercial software perspective, there are plenty of tools that now utilize AI. And it's almost, you can Google your use case plus AI and you'll probably find something. Now, things are definitely going to get better. We still, I think all of us in commercial software development, we're still pretty early and things will get better, more extended, but there are already things. And this is where, especially when you use kind of the process-led approach, can be quite useful. If you identify for your processes, wow, we are spending a lot of time manually writing this or manually writing that based on this information. Well, other than potentially using Zapier, Make, or other MuleSoft and APIs to OpenAI to automate it yourself, if you Google it, chances are there's already something out there that automates that process. So that's why I say it's adopting AI is not just about using one tool, one model. Is actually you can use many different tools and models for different use cases. And when all of these accumulate, that's when you will see tremendous productivity enhancements.
Yep, it's a beautiful thing. Any final closing thoughts for the audience today?
I would say embrace that change, but I went through that myself. Don't think that in order to be an expert in AI, again, you need to be now an expert in machine learning and be a technical AI specialist. There's plenty to gain and plenty to achieve by being almost a business expert in AI and understanding and knowing and identifying good use cases for AI in your organization. That's going to be a real career change for a lot of people.